Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the City of Southfield regular meeting of the Planning Commission for August the 23rd, 2023. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Bernuti?
Present.
Ms. Goodwin-Dye is excused. Mr. Griffiths?
Here.
Ms. Chair Dr. Stevens-Gunn?
Present.
Mr. Willis?
Here.
Ms. Gruber?
Present.
Mr. Martin?
Here.
All right, Madam Chair, you do have a quorum to conduct business.
Thank you very much. I'm sure everyone has had an opportunity to review our agenda. Is there a motion to accept our agenda?
Through the chair, I move for approval of agenda dated August 23, 2023.
Is there a second? It's been moved by Commissioner Willis and second by Commissioner Martin that we accept tonight's agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries to accept our agenda for this evening. Are there announcements and communications?
No, ma'am.
All right. Given that, I'd like to ask the staff to, first of all, we're going to look at item DPSLU 23-0010, the public hearing, and PSP 23-0012, the site plan review, the presentation, the staff presentation, all in one piece, please.
Yes, Chair. This is the gas station, an existing gas station at the northwest corner of Evergreen and 8 Mile, 20020 West 8 Mile. They are looking to add a carry-out restaurant inside of the existing gas station convenience store. So there are no building additions involved, though there are some site improvements that go along with the project. As we can see here, site aerial on the corner. Next to it's a restaurant with a drive-through, commercial property to the north, commercial property also to the east. These are, street view shots of the site as it exists. This is from, the top one is from 8 Mile. The side one here, the lower one is from Evergreen, just kind of showing the existing layout of the site. Got the current zoning is B3 general business, the future land use designation commercial office. Those are consistent with each other. Pardon me. This is the proposed site plan. This does show some of the improvements that they're making to the site as part of this project, one of which is the sidewalk coming off of Evergreen with the bike rack, and then there is a key walk coming in from the bus stop off of 8 Mile, and then they're striping out the area in front of the store for no parking, try to keep that aisle clear for all the vehicles maneuvering through the site, make it a little safer for the pedestrians up there possibly as well, and restriping of the parking lot per the plan. Otherwise, the building is as is, same as the canopy. They are refreshing the landscaping a little bit as well, but it's mostly in pretty good condition at the moment. So this landscape plan shows the existing landscaping and the proposed plant list, both of it existing and, actually it looks like it's all existing in this case, but probably remulching, that sort of thing. Floor plan, you can see the C-store occupies most of the building. You've got the cash out area, and then on the far right, the dashed area is the proposed carry out. That's about 300 square feet. Some elevations and existing photos since they're not making changes to the exterior. These are the sides of the building. There we go, that's the sides of the building, rear of the building, from the property on the behind, and then the front of the building. And we do have the petitioner and the petitioner's architect here this evening.
Good evening. My name is Ken Moreland. I'm with Dorch and Martin and Associates. We're the architects working on the project. Our address is 29895 Greenfield Road in Southfield. As Mr. Payson had said, The project is, we're requesting special use to be able to provide a carry-out restaurant in the existing facility. The project will not require any modifications to the existing facade, and we have made the recommended improvements to the site from not only the planning department's recommendations, but also during our study meeting, your recommendations. With that, I'm here to take any questions you might have, comments, concerns.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to open the public hearing for PSLU 23-0010. All interested parties, please approach the podium and be prepared to give your name and your address. Open the public hearing for PSLU 23-0010. Open the public hearing for PSLU 23-0010. Given no public present, I'm closing the public hearing for PSLU 23-0010. Commissioner Martin, do you have questions?
No questions at this time.
Commissioner Gruber, do you have questions?
No questions.
Commissioner Willis?
I think we need to say something, and first of all, I think it's a natural adjunct to what you are and where you are. I wish you luck on the project.
Commissioner Griffith?
This was a newer site plan, newer gas station, and then you're making the latest recommendations or requirements from our zoning ordinance, so I think it's a good project.
Commissioner Benuti?
Thank you. I have no questions, but I too am in favor of it. It's an excellent location, and it's a nice site for those people who are getting gas. They can now eat as well. Thank you.
I too agree that it's an excellent enhancement to that particular intersection, and I wish you all the best of luck. Planning Department, is there a recommendation? Oh, Commissioner Martin?
I didn't want to start off. Mine is more of a question. At your entrance, is that the cut curve for the entrance? Is it just a step up, or is it ramp?
No, there is a ramp.
Okay. Yeah, you can see it in this photo. Yeah, and also, was there a bike rack shown on the
Yes, it's,
floor plan? I mean, on the,
get back to the site.
Yes, sir, as you come in from the Greenfield connector. Or, I'm sorry,
there.
Evergreen.
Evergreen, okay, yeah, all right. When you drive in, it's kind of hard to look and drive, so, and I had just gone by there today. The picture you have from the rear looking through to the front, it's kind of confusing because you see all that greenery there, and I look for it, and it's not there. That's the gate there, so excellent. I think it's a good idea also, very good.
Commissioners, are there any additional questions?
Yeah.
Is there a recommendation?
Yes, Madam Chair. Let me just get to the page here. Recommendation, the Planning Department recommends favorable recommendation of the special use request by Tower Petroleum to establish a gas station convenience store carry-out restaurant on property located at 20,020 West 8 Mile, City of Southfield, Oakland County, State of Michigan, Sidwell parcel 24-34-479-023 for the following reasons and conditions. 1, the proposed use will be of such size and character that it will be in harmony with the appropriate and orderly development of the general business district. 2, the location, size, and intensity and periods of operation are designed to eliminate any possible nuisance likely to emanate therefrom, which might be adverse to occupants of any other nearby permitted uses. Number 3, the proposed use is in accord with the spirit and purpose of this chapter and is not inconsistent with or contrary to the objectives sought to be accomplished by this chapter and principles of sound planning. 4, the proposed use is of such character and the vehicular traffic generated will not have an adverse effect or be detrimental to the surrounding land uses or the adjacent thoroughfares. 5, the proposed use is of such character and intensity and arranged on the site so as to eliminate any adverse effects resulting from noise, dust, dirt, glare, odor, or fumes. 6, the proposed use will not be adverse to the promotion of the health, safety, and welfare of the community. 7, the proposed use is designed and operated so as to provide security and safety to the employees and general public. 8, the approval is based on that the approval be based on the documents, facts, representations, and stipulations submitted with the application and placed on the record during the public hearing by the petitioner or their representatives. 9, with the following conditions. A, the approval of PSP 23-0012, the accompanying site plan by City Council. B, continuous compliance with all applicable ordinances, codes, laws, and statutes. The petitioner must perform all work under plans, permits, and final inspections approved by the City of Southfield. And C, hours of operation. For the gas station convenience store, 24 hours operation. For the carryout restaurant, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., as was stated by the applicant at the prior study session.
Okay. Is there a motion?
To the chair, motion to approve PSP 23
Support.
It's been moved by Commissioner Martin and second by Commissioner Willis. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Commissioner Martin?
I just wanted to correct my statement. It's PSLU 23-0010.
Okay.
Sorry.
PSLU 23-0010 has been approved. Commissioners, are there any additional questions or comments regarding PSP 23-0012, the site plan review? Are there any additional questions?
No.
Given none, is there a motion?
Madam Chair,
Oh, I'm sorry, is there a recommendation? I'm sorry.
Yes, Madam Chair. The Planning Department recommends favorable recommendation of the site plan review by Tower Petroleum to establish a gas station, convenience store, carryout restaurant on property located at 20020 West 8 Mile, City of Southfield, Oakland County, State of Michigan, parcel 24-34-479-023, for the following reasons and conditions. 1, all development features are located so as to minimize the possibility of any adverse impacts on adjacent properties and so as to relate to properly to pedestrian and vehicular traffic safety. 2, the site plan does show that access is provided only to a major or secondary thoroughfare or freeway service drive, and that a proper relationship exists between the major or secondary thoroughfare and any proposed service roads, driveways, and parking areas in order to encourage pedestrian and vehicular traffic safety. 3, the approval is based on the documents, facts, representations, and stipulations submitted with the application and placed on the record during the public hearing by the petitioner or their representatives. 4, conditions. A, subject to the conditions of PSLU 23-0010 approved by the City Council. B, the site and building shall be developed in accordance with submitted plan set prepared by Dorch and Martin Associates dated August 7, 2023. C, the petitioner is to implement recommendations made by Southfield Police Department's Crime Prevention Bureau regarding site security. D, continuous compliance with all applicable ordinances, codes, laws, and statutes, and the petitioner must perform all work under plans, permits, and final inspections approved by the City of Southfield. And once again, hours of operation, gas station, convenience store, 24 hours, carryout restaurant, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Now, Commissioners, is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve PSP 23-0012.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Benuti and second by Commissioner Martin that we accept a favorable recommendation for PSP 23-0012, the site plan review. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
At this time, we're going to hear about PZTA 23-0003. Would the department please, are we going to do each one individually, or would you like to do them all together?
I can go through them all together because the motion is a single motion to approve the group of amendments as one
Okay, let's do
motion.
them all together then.
Yeah.
Thank you.
As I noted This is a set of amendments coming forward. We kind of bundle these amendments, especially the smaller ones, this way just to make it a little easier to kind of move them through the system. The three major elements here are related to clarifying that public art is permitted in front yards. The code was a little unclear on that. Parts of the code imply clearly that they're allowed in front yards because where would you see it otherwise? But the other parts of the code prohibit a wide range of things in front yards, so there was a little bit of lack of clarity that we're fixing, and I'll go through that in a little more detail. This is an example of the art piece that actually brought this to our attention. It's going out in front of the Deer Run condominiums. It's actually already been built. It's over at Lawrence Tech if you want to see it, but it'll be moved to the site when it is ready. But that is in a front yard area, and we just wanted to make clear that that was not a problem going forward. So it really is just adding of one note to the public art section and our section 22, which we'll talk about later, just making it clear that public art is an exception to that prohibition of items in front yard setbacks. And I know we just want to talk about these individually or just go through them and then discuss each as go through.
Point of order. We've got 3 different sections that we're talking about.
Yep.
We need to discuss them singularly, not as one, because we can pass one and
All
not
he's
the
doing
other.
is the presentation.
Huh?
All he's doing is the presentation.
Yeah.
We'll have discussion on each one
one.
individually.
Okay.
He's just doing one presentation.
Sorry.
And the recommended motion does lump them together because we noticed them as a single text amendment that affected multiple sections, which is, the legal department has determined is valid. We can pass a text amendment that affects multiple sections as long as the notice clearly lists them all.
Suppose we reject one section.
Then we'd have to revise the motion. Let's see. It's a recommended resolution, not one you're required to use. Okay, so this is the public art in the front yard. The second one was the heavy equipment rental and sales in the I-1 industrial district. We originally were just looking at the area on Telegraph, but after looking at the comments that the Planning Commission gave us, we've actually altered that to put it into the I-1 as a special land use in both the 8 Mile and Telegraph areas. So now this will be an available special land use in all of the I-1 areas, not just the Telegraph area. For the site we were looking at, which was this particular site, 21700 Telegraph, which was Kamau. This is for McAllister Reynolds. They'll be coming before you for special land use and site plan approval next month if this passes. But just to let you know, that's sort of the case. We found that we did not have this use covered in our ordinance. It didn't clearly fit any of the categories, which is another reason we're adding it. When you have a valid use that's not covered by the code, that's usually the proper setup. We did make a couple of tweaks to the site development standards just to clarify a few things and make sure that it was consistent with other areas. But mostly these are a combination of site plan requirements for other sort of similar uses that are already in the industrial district. And we figured as we're opening the door for this, we wanted to have it kind of pretty well defined. We could always come back and loosen up the rules later, but it's hard to tighten them up later once things have gotten put in already. So that's the heavy equipment rental. And then there's the residential lot coverage. This kind of came out of the fact the building department and the zoning board of appeals have been granting a number of variances for this because it's fairly limited. And we wanted to see if maybe we could accommodate this without too extreme of an outcome. So it's an increase from 25% to 30% for max lot coverage. And I did clarify this with the building official. The max lot coverage actually only applies to accessory and principal buildings. It does not apply to accessory structures. So this limit, this 30% limit is really just for the home, and if they have a shed or a garage, that's all it actually covers. So if you take all the structure coverage, say a pool or a deck, that would be in addition to this 30%, which is already the case. The coverage just covers the buildings. It says actually buildings, accessory and principal buildings, and buildings are separate from structures. Buildings have to be enclosed for either storage or people to occupy. We did do a little bit of research. We talked about this last time. The communities around us, typically the average is around 30 to 35% for lot coverage. Some of them allow that's buildings, some of them that's all structures. So it is kind of important to know, like when you see the 40%, that's pretty much all structures, not just the buildings. So you can see that the variances that were granted by the zoning board The average was 2.79%. They ranged from 0.8 to 9.17. This 5% increase would have eliminated all but I think 2 of them completely. So it would allow people to take these existing homes and do improvements to them without necessarily having to seek waivers from the zoning board. Just an example of an increase, on a typical 70 by 130 lot, you know, the current code would allow you a structure of 2,250 square foot. This would now allow 2,700 square feet. This just kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of, if it was all house, what it would look like for the coverage. And there's a little bit on the end of Article 22 here. We're adding a footnote for the public art that ties into an exception to front yards, just to clarify whether you're looking in the schedule regulations or you look in the public art section. Whichever one you look at, it'll be clear that public art is an exception to the front yard rule. So we put it in both spots just to make sure it didn't get missed by anyone who was looking for it. And that's what we have there. We do, this is a zoning amendment, so it does require a public hearing.
Okay, commissioners, taking a look at, oh no, I need to open the public hearing. Let us open the public hearing for PZTA 23-0003. Given there's no public in attendance, we're going to close the public hearing for PZTA 23-0003. Commissioners, please take a look at what is proposed for Article 4, Section 5.22-5. Are there any questions, comments?
This section here.
Given none, we're going to move on to Article 20-Section 5.185. Are there any comments?
Yes.
Commissioner Martin.
When we get to item 13, heavy equipment rental and sales, provided that when you go through the alphabet listing, you have C, D, D. I believe it should be corrected to C, D, E, F, and then extend the rest of the alphabet.
Formatting error. Okay, got it.
Okay, in item A, the area designated for rental of sales of heavy equipment shall not exceed the number of parking spaces available. I have a problem with that in that when you look at regular parking spaces, you tend to have, I think it's 10 by 20 feet. I'm not sure the exact sizes that are used for striping for parking
9 by
spaces.
18 under our current code. 9 by 18 under the
9 by
current
18.
code.
Heavy equipment is going to be probably a lot larger than that for taking up spaces, so having the spaces counted based on striping that's normal striping, it's going to throw everything off, way off. It's going to make any equipment parking that you do exceed the number of parking spaces. You need to adjust the spacing so that you have spacing for customer and employee parking at one size, and spacing for striping for heavy equipment at another size, so that you can take into consideration the number of pieces of heavy equipment you have versus the number and the spaces that it takes up versus the space.
This is not, this particular provision isn't maybe elegantly stated. What it actually means is the storage of a heavy equipment can't displace any of the normal required parking. They're not required to stripe the storage area.
But what I'm saying is that you count parking spaces based on square foot area, correct?
Right.
So if you have a square foot area for parking,
Yeah.
and you say it's for 20 vehicles,
Right. Like I said, it's not elegantly stated. What it actually means is the storage area can't impose into the area of required parking. They have to designate required employee and visitor parking. They can't store equipment there. And I can rephrase it so that it's clear that that's the case.
In essence, then that clarification needs to be done so that you got employee and visitor
Cannot
parking.
displace required employee or visitor parking would be the better way to state that.
Yeah.
We'll rephrase that.
And you also have when we got this, there were two sections that were basically identical. We have section 13, I don't know if it was a duplicate.
No, there's two different sections, in the I district. One of them covers 12 mile, one of them covers Telegraph, the other one covers 8 mile. I had to put it in both sections so you could do it in both places.
Okay, but the 8 mile, the Telegraph section needs the applicant shall permit credible evidence and provisions to minimize harmful, unpleasant, effective noise, odors, fumes, that raise vibration, smoke. You have that on the 8 mile side, but not on the Telegraph side.
Must have been a cut and paste problem. All right, I'll have to double check that. I know when we duplicated it over, it might have gotten additional revisions afterward and not gotten
Well,
correlated.
as far as the lettering goes, it didn't
Yeah.
include that.
Let's see, JK.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, that,
Yeah, it was a cut.
but they need to be consistent with
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. Let's see, ground surfaces.
Because they do include the 100 feet from the residential district in that, so.
Yeah, I'm looking at the provision here, hold on. Let's see how it's located. Which letter is it on the first one? That's not, is that here?
Oh, actually, it was in, I didn't mark it, I'm sorry. It's on the handwritten copy I have at home, but not on the printed copy I did.
Accordance.
Oh, K,
Okay.
item K,
Okay.
yeah. Nope, that's not it.
Yeah, those are the same.
Yeah, it's on,
Ground surface off-street parking. Parking screen. Just looking at them and comparing them. All right, let's see.
it's in the sentence where they talk about logistics.
D.
Logistics centers, motor freight, and that's in that line.
Outside. All service work parking. I think there might have been some, I was still working with Terry on final version, Terry Crowd on the final version of this. There may have been an edit after I had to
Yeah,
send out the
it's-
packets. This is the actual final version that you have in paper copy today. It looks like the list is the same, but it has that same D error, and an A needs to be
Yeah.
clarified. So both of them need the lettering, the duplicate lettering straightened out and A clarified. Yeah, the motion could include it with the corrections as noted,
Yes, I have that noted.
yeah. Yeah, I can get the lettering correctly, and I can rephrase the first one to make it clear that what it is the heavy equipment sales can't displace required visitor and customer parking. We'll just rephrase that, because, yeah, the more I read it, I'm like, yeah, that's very awkwardly stated. I know what it means, but it's very awkwardly stated. That it could be rephrased into a much clearer statement.
Commissioner Martin, are we ready to move on to the next one?
The,
Windows auto formatting is the worst.
maybe you can- Oh, I'm sorry, it was in item 9, section, part B.
9, Part B. Oh, you're looking at a different section.
That was in the 8 mile section.
Hold on. Let's see, 416. You mean under small box retail? Confused, what, item 9 under 5.185? Because we're only altering item 13.
You were saying they were duplicate, that's all I was,
Yeah, the D items need to be,
yeah.
the actual items aren't duplicated, it's just the D lettering is duplicated. The two actual standards are different standards. It's just a formatting error with the lettering of the section.
Actually, I didn't see the noise and odor in the section 13. Or did I miss that?
I don't think we added noise in here because there's a general standard for that in the I-1 district as a whole. Like, all I-1 uses have to meet that standard, not just this one.
Okay, the only thing I was saying is that it's in one, but it's not in the other, and you're saying they're pretty much duplicate.
Not in the current print version.
Well,
I think in the prior version that I sent you out, there were a couple modifications that were made after the fact, so we're still working on it. But if you look at the paper version in front of you now for both 13s, they're now identical.
Okay.
I'm looking at them and they match up. No motor vehicles, ground offs, surrounding dust, disturbances. Other disturbances, yeah, the current text copies in front of you, the text for both 13s is identical now. Because that was probably an earlier edit. Probably one of those things where I was waiting on comments from someone, and after I had to send the packets out so you guys had it timely, someone said, hey, I need you to change this. I'm like, okay.
So Commissioner Martin, are we ready to move on to the next article?
yes.
And I can make sure they're identical, I'll double check that as well. We'll verify that those sections are identical, we'll correct the wording in A, and we'll get rid of the double use of D in this section.
Commissioners, are there any questions, comments, or suggestions for Article 22, Sections 5.193, Section 5.194, and Section 5.195? No. Okay. Given none, is there a motion with the to include the enhancements that have been identified? Is there a motion?
Here's a recommended motion.
Oh, I'm sorry, recommendation.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were done with that. The recommendation, please.
Yes. Recommend favorable recommendation of the draft dated August 3rd, 2023, for the following reasons. The proposed text amendment will amend Title V, Zoning Planning, Chapter 45, Zoning of the City of Code of the City of Southfield, amending Article 4, Section 5.22.5, Section 5.185, Article 22, Sections 1.93.194, and Sections 5.105 to add heavy equipment sales and rental as a special use in the I-1 district, and clarify that the public art is permitted in required front yards, and increase the maximum permitted lot coverage on residential family lots. And I assume these will be proposed with the condition that the corrections be made to the number 13 sections for heavy equipment rental, as noted.
All right, now, is there a motion to accept the favorable recommendation?
I'd like to make a favorable motion on PZTA 23-0003.
Is there a second?
Support.
It's been moved by Commissioner Griffiths and second by Commissioner Willis that we accept the favorable recommendation for PZTA 23-0003. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion- It's been, let the record reflect that Commissioner Martin opposed. The motion carries. To the department, in the future, should you make significant changes or you make changes or enhancements to documents that you've already sent us, could you send us a note, an email or something to let us know what modifications have been made prior to us showing up in the evening? I'd appreciate that. Thank
We
you.
will do that.
Thank you so very much. Our next item on the agenda is minutes.
Oops, there we go.
Before we address that, I just need to make one comment for the minute dated July the 12th. There's a comment at the bottom, use the word streetscape. It's my comment, but, well, it's under my name. I just don't recognize the word. I didn't do that. So my suggestion is, as as the secretary, draw a line in the initial and take the word streetscape out.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments regarding the minutes from July 12th, 2023? the studies meeting and the regular meeting on July 19, 2023. Any other additional comments or questions? Commissioner Martin?
No question, no.
Okay.
Oh, no.
I wasn't sure. Is there a motion that we accept the minutes from July 12, 2023, the study meeting, and July 19, 2023, the regular meeting?
To the chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes of July 12th for the study meeting with the correction noted by Commissioner Willis, and approve the regular meeting minutes of July 19th, 2023.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Martin and second by Commissioner Willis that we accept the July 12, 2023 study meeting with the additions, with the corrections that Commissioner Willis has identified, and we accept the minutes from July 19, 2023, the regular meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. At this time, we're going to open the public comment section. Given that there is no public present, we're closing the public comment section. Council item updates.
Don't have a lot of additional comment on this. The couple items you had last month, the daycare and Jasmine Square are before council on Monday for final approval. They did receive a discussion on, not this last Monday, but the Monday before, and council seemed favorably disposed. There wasn't a lot of public comment, but there were some questions about the daycare, similar to the ones that the Planning Commission asked, so I think there'll be a little more discussion of that. Council did ask for a copy of the state's regulations related to group child care, so they can understand what the state regulates. I did get them a copy of that, so they'll have that in their packet. You guys will have it next time it comes up. Now that I have it, I'm just gonna put it in all of those.
Okay. Commissioner Martin?
I was just saying, that's a lot of paper they wanted. God.
Yeah, I'm just gonna give it to them as a PDF, because that's how the state gives it out, so. But it covers, they had a lot of questions about fire safety and egress, and it's really spelled out in there in a lot of detail. So I'm gonna let them see the level of state oversight that's already going on there.
Is there any miscellaneous for this evening?
I have
No,
a
ma'am.
question.
Yes, Commissioner Martin.
We discussed a plan where we had urgent care facility.
Yep, that was Jasmine Square. That was the other one that's in front of City Council. It's
Yeah.
a 5-unit center, and it has an urgent care on one end.
Yeah,
Yep.
and one of the things, and it's kind of funny that they asked about the state requirements for the child care, but urgent care has requirements in there that a doctor do it. And the gentleman that was proposing the services said that he would be under his direction isn't an MD. He's another specialty and not covered by the state requirements.
And he may
Is
have
that
some,
something that we need to look out for in the future?
I mean, he could be partnered with a physician. We don't know what his LLC, what the full range of his
But
LLC is.
The point is that he said that he was doing it. And for that reason, you know, should we have pointed out to him that,
I mean, the state handles their own regulations.
And, yeah, they have to be
So
licensed.
if he doesn't have a physician to run the clinic, he won't be able to be licensed as an urgent care by the state. So
Is there-
that's when he'll have to establish. And I don't know if he said like he was doing it, if he meant he was going to run the urgent care or he's doing the development.
he
And
said he was
may
doing
have
it
a physician.
urgent care. He was
Yeah,
telling-
well,
and
the
staff
urgent care could be
before
his
time.
business, but he could have a partner who's a physician.
Yeah.
There generally are investors in those, they're not all doctors.
Is there anything else for the good of the order? Given that, I adjourn the meeting at 7:12 p.m.